We've all heard of Airbnb, right? You've seen people succeed and now you want to be part of the game? But the problem is you don't have the cash to buy a property. Don't worry, you're not alone. This is where Airbnb rental arbitrage comes into play. It's a growing trend that's gaining popularity, and it's perfect for those who want to start a rental business with less capital. The best part about it is you don't have to be 100% committed to buying a new property. It's a great option for those who want to start a rental business with less capital. Watch until the end of this video and you'll know everything about Airbnb arbitrage. Not only will I tell you exactly what it is, but how it can help you start your very own Airbnb business for beginners. Now let's start with the basics. What is Airbnb arbitrage? Basically, it works like this. You rent a property and then sublet it on short-term rental platforms like Airbnb. You can earn some extra cash without owning the property, and even save enough money to buy your own home one day. It's a win-win situation. Let's say you rent a one-bedroom apartment in Hawaii for $1,000 per month. You list it on Airbnb for $140 per night, and in just 8 days, you have enough money to pay off your rent for the month. If you're able to have guests for the whole month, you can earn a whopping $3,920, leaving you with a cool $2,920 in profit. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are some hurdles to overcome before you can become a successful Airbnb rental arbitrage investor. You need to do your research, find the right property, ensure you have the right permits, and be aware of any legal implications. So, is Airbnb rental arbitrage legal? Well, the answer is not a straightforward one. It all depends on where you plan to rent and sublet. Local laws and HOA bylaws can put regulations on short-term rentals, so it's essential to check if you are allowed to do this in your area before making any moves. If it's legal, you should also check if you need a license or permit to operate. And please don't be that guy who gets caught because you didn't do your research. Once you have everything legally sorted, the most critical step is to talk to your landlord. Yes, we know it's intimidating, but it's also the most important step. Renting out to guests behind your landlord's back puts you at a risk of eviction, and nobody wants that. If your landlord agrees, you'll need to draft a new agreement. Also, make sure you're protected in case of damages caused by guests or even natural disasters. Airbnb offers host protection insurance, but it's also wise to consider getting short-term rental insurance. With that, you're ready to start a rental arbitrage business. Watch the video until the end because I will show you how you can start right now. Yes, right now. But before that, please like and subscribe to Life of a Landlord for more content like this. Share this video so that it can spread to more people who are interested about rental arbitrage. And now, let's go to how to start a rental arbitrage business. Number 1. Conduct Airbnb market research. To make sure you're not wasting your time and, more importantly, your money, you need to conduct thorough Airbnb market research. First things first, you need to look for markets with the highest average arbitrage potential. In simple terms, you need to find areas where short-term rent prices are considerably higher than long-term rental prices. Sounds simple enough, right? The market should also have a high short-term rental demand from vacation and business travelers. Honestly, it's all about supply and demand. However, you don't want the average long-term rents to be too high. We're trying to make a profit here, not go bankrupt. Also, before you go investing in a property, you need to make sure you know the local Airbnb regulations like the back of your hand. You don't want to get caught out by any pesky laws or HOA rules that could limit your ability to rent out the property on a short-term basis. No one likes a legal headache, trust me. And last but not least, you need to consider seasonality. You want to avoid markets with huge dips in demand during certain seasons. The best markets for rental arbitrage have a consistently high demand for short-term rentals throughout the year. We don't want to be twiddling our thumbs waiting for the next busy season, do we? Number 2, find profitable properties for rental arbitrage. Here's a question to ponder. Who are you trying to appeal to? The digital nomads, tourists, or maybe even the staycationers? Once you have a clear picture of your target audience, it's time to start looking for the perfect rental property. When searching for the ideal rental property, you want to consider 2 things: the Airbnb income potential and the startup costs. After all, you're in this to make money, right? Your Airbnb profit margin is the difference between your rental income and your monthly expenses. You want to find a short-term rental property that will allow you to make the most money. The rental income should be able to cover your expenses and still leave room for profit. And yes, you also need to consider the startup costs. You don't want to break the bank before you even start making any money. The startup costs include a 1-month security deposit, first month's rent, furnishings, appliances, application fees, and legal fees. I want you to keep these expenses in mind and estimate how long it will take you to recoup your initial investment. Number 3, talk to your potential landlord about hosting on Airbnb. If there's one thing I learned in this world, it's better to be upfront about your plans than to have a deal with any awkwardness or legal issues down the road. Sure, rental arbitrage is legal, but that doesn't mean your landlord will be thrilled with the idea. So sit down with them, have a cup of coffee, and explain the ins and outs of Airbnb. Help them understand that it's not a party house and that you'll be respectful of their property. Address any concerns they may have and be open to compromise. If they give you the green light, make sure you get everything in writing. Set clear guidelines for hosting and make sure they work for both you and your landlord. This will show them that you're a responsible host and that you take their property seriously. Remember, communication is key. By talking to your landlord and getting their approval, you'll be able to rent out your place without any worries. Number 4, estimate your starting costs. Before you start picturing yourself lounging on piles of cash, let's talk about some of the costs you'll need to consider when getting started. First up, we've got cleaning services. Unless you're planning on doing all the scrubbing yourself, you'll need to factor in the cost of getting the place spick and span before you start renting it out. Next on the list is decor, furnishings, and kitchenware. Want your tenants eating off paper plates and sleeping on the floor? I know you don't want that. So you'll need to invest in some basic furniture and kitchen essentials. You may also need to pay an application fee for any permits or licenses required in your area, as well as legal fees if you're working with an attorney. And let's not forget about the all-important Wi-Fi and utilities. If you don't want your tenants coming after you with pitchforks, make sure these are covered each month. Of course, never forget about insurance and repairs or maintenance. These are important costs to consider, as they can add up quickly if you're not careful. Be sure to budget accordingly and don't skimp on these essential expenses. Number 5, list your property on Airbnb. Please hear me out, you can't just list your place and hope for the best. You need to optimize your listing to make it as attractive as possible to potential renters. Get your camera out and snap some professional photos of your pad. No blurry or dark pictures will do. Yes, I mean it. You want to show off your place in the best possible light. Make sure you capture all the angles and don't be afraid to get creative. You also want your photos to stand out from the crowd. Then you have your listing description. Don't be lazy and just write a couple of sentences. Put some effort into it and be as detailed as possible. Highlight the best features of your property and use language that will make potential renters want to book your place ASAP. And remember, honesty is key. Don't oversell your property because that's a surefire way to get negative reviews. Finally, let's talk about pricing. You want to make a profit, but you also need to be realistic. Do your research and make sure your nightly rates are in line with the market rates. If your prices are too high, you'll scare off potential renters, and if they're too low, you won't make enough money to cover your expenses. So what is the point with all of this? Well, Airbnb rental arbitrage is really a fantastic option for those who want to start an Airbnb business but don't have the financial means to buy a property. It's an innovative business model that's gaining popularity, and it allows you to start a business with less capital. With the right strategy and mindset, you too can ride the Airbnb wave without owning a property. What do you think about Airbnb rental arbitrage? Please leave a comment down below. Of course, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you, and see you next time.